counting in the US election is continuing in the remaining states that are yet to declare. Joe Biden's lead in Pennsylvania now stands at nearly 29,000 votes. Victory there would hand him the presidency regardless of what happens in the other states still in contention. Mr. Biden has also increased his lead over President Trump in Georgia. After the latest update, he's now about 7,000 votes ahead, but officials there have already said that there will be a recount. President Trump is continuing to allege that the election is filled with fraud, despite giving no evidence for this claim. He's casting doubt on mail-in ballots, saying that his legal proceedings are moving forward. And it's now certain that the balance of power in the US Senate won't be known until January. Neither of the two Senate races in Georgia produced a clear winner. There'll be a runoff in January.
British police arrest over 100 people in London for protesting measures aimed at preventing the spread of COVID-19. Ethiopia says military operations in the Tigray area have clear and limited objectives, but the head of the United Nations expresses concern about the move. China defends increased screening of imports from Australia. The new inspections come at a time of diplomatic tensions between the two sides. And in the United States, a few undecided states continue counting ballots from the presidential election.
Getting married is not as easy as it looks.
Would I say I was a witch if I'm not?
I don't know. I have an aunt who thinks she's a lighthouse. And whenever it rains, she insists on climbing on the garage roof to warn the sailors.
How do you know she isn't a lighthouse?
Huh?
Well, maybe you're the one that's looking straight at the lighthouse and thinks you're seeing an old lady on a garage roof.
Okay. My aunt is a lighthouse, and you're a witch.
You don't believe me?
ABC News has reported that Democrat Joe Biden has secured victory in Tuesday's U.S. presidential election. He beat Republican incumbent Donald Trump. Vote counting is still underway, but the media outlet says Biden has secured enough electoral college votes by winning the state of Pennsylvania. Biden has obtained 273 electoral votes. He needed 270 to win. After Biden's victory was reported, people gathered at a square near the White House and started celebrating.
I was walking my dog, I got a notification on my phone, and I heard everybody honking. It's been a long 4 days. I'm a teacher, so my students have been anxious, excited, but this will be a happy day for everybody in the city.
This victory means that America has a chance to be what America has always been, which is a place that welcomes all people, that provides opportunity for everyone. No more hatred, no more racism, no more divide. There's a chance for us now.
Vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris posted a video on Twitter.
We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi issued a statement. She said today marks the dawning of a new day of hope for America. She also said people have elected a unifier who values faith, family, and community. The speaker added Biden will work tirelessly to heal the nation. Biden emphasized unity throughout his campaign and promised to heal deep social rifts. He repeatedly attacked Trump's America First diplomacy. The world is now waiting to see whether Biden will make good on his promises as he addresses the challenges he's inheriting. Chief among those challenges are the economic and health impacts of the coronavirus pandemic. The death toll in the country has surpassed 236,000, and the number of new cases continues to climb. Biden was the vice president under Barack Obama. He unsuccessfully ran for the presidential nomination twice. He is now about to take on the top spot himself. Biden is expected to declare victory in Delaware on Saturday night. Trump has issued a statement regarding the latest development. The president said, "The simple fact is this election is far from over." He says, "We all know why Joe Biden is rushing to falsely pose as the winner and why his media allies are trying so hard to help him. They don't want the truth to be exposed." Trump has repeatedly made unfounded claims about the election. He says Republican observers were not permitted to watch the counting process at some voting stations. He also says many of the votes cast in various places are illegal. Trump's attorney held a news conference on Saturday.
This is outrageous.
an enormously important contest with a very, very suspect method of voting. There was no security, zero. Many cases.
He repeated some of the unfounded claims Trump has made, but he did not provide any evidence. He stressed that the campaign is preparing to file a number of lawsuits. NHK World's Catherine Kobayashi is in our New York studio. Catherine, what's the mood there?
Well, people here in New York are cheering out of their windows and honking their horns. This election has been unprecedented. More people voted than ever before. Counting all those ballots has taken 4 days, and they're still at it, and the fallout is far from over. President Donald Trump claims much of the voting was illegal, and he's promising to fight the results in the courts. But after all the waiting, Joe Biden has passed the threshold he needed to become the next president of the United States. I spoke earlier with Matthew Weil. He is the director of the Elections Project at the Bipartisan Policy Center. I started by asking him what Biden's victory means for this country.
I think it means a return to normalcy. I think it means that we're going to have a president who doesn't need to be on TV every day, who can work with both sides of the aisle to get things done. We're going to have very small margins in our legislature, and if anything is going to happen in America over the next 2 years, big policy, the Republicans and the Democrats have to come together to find a way forward.
We've already seen some signals, but how do you imagine the Trump campaign will react?
Well, I do think the president has some legal avenues for recounts in select states. Some of our states are very, very narrowly decided. But the important thing is that in enough states to win the presidency, Joe Biden has clear leads that are outside the margin. And so whether the president accepts it or not, I do expect today to see prominent Republicans, including our Senate Majority Leader, congratulating Joe Biden on his victory.
You mentioned that people on both sides of the aisle have to come together. The Democrats maintain control of the House, but they didn't achieve what they had hoped for in the Senate. How do you think Biden will govern under these circumstances?
Well, we have 2 Senate seats that aren't decided yet, and they won't be decided until January. So the Democrats still could get to an even 50-50, but in the House they've lost seats. And at best, there is no clear mandate for unified government. And so, again, the only way in our system to make positive change is to have Democrats and Republicans working together. And I think that that's what the American people are demanding based on what I'm reading into the election results from Tuesday.
And what other challenges does the president-elect have ahead?
Again, this country is very divided. I mean, certainly more people voted for Joe Biden than ever before in our history, but 70 million people voted for Donald Trump, and many of them, based on what the president has been saying for months now, don't believe the results. And that's going to be a challenging thing for President-elect Joe Biden to overcome. But I do think he is a much more Washington-based. He's been in D.C. for a very long time. He knows how to work together, and I think that'll come through over the next year or two.
So you see the president-elect unifying the people, uniting the people.
Yeah, and he'll need some partners on the other side, but I do think there's a moment now for some bipartisanship in our process.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew Weil. Thank you for your time.
Biden's win means Kamala Harris will become the country's first female vice president. Harris will also be the first black person and the first Asian American to assume the post. Harris is 56 years old. She ran for the Democratic presidential nomination but dropped out before voting and caucusing began. She was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2016 and had previously served as Attorney General for the state of California. Harris is widely seen as one of the Democratic Party's potential candidates for the next presidential election, as Biden will be 78 when he takes office. Republicans and Democrats have previously fielded female vice presidential candidates, Sarah Palin in 2008 and Geraldine Ferraro in 1984. Both failed to win. Once again, ABC News has reported that Democrat Joe Biden has secured victory in Tuesday's U.S. presidential election. He beat Republican incumbent Donald Trump. Vote counting is still underway, but the media outlet says Biden has secured enough electoral college votes by winning the state of Pennsylvania. Biden has obtained 273 electoral votes. He needed 270 to win. Joe Biden's win means Kamala Harris will become the country's first female vice president. Harris will also be the first black person and the first Asian American to assume the post. Trump has repeatedly made unfounded claims about the election. He says Republican observers were not permitted to watch the counting process at some voting stations. He also says many of the votes cast in various places are illegal. His attorney says the campaign is preparing to file a number of lawsuits.